age it will increase, but it will never stop forever.
Remember the first time I spoke, I said that if we all live long enough, we'll become diabetic? Because you cannot prevent wear and tear of the body. We all will die and we all will become old. So as we grow older, we lose cells that make diabetes, that make insulin every year. But if we concentrate on our lifestyle and we lose weight and come into a normal, body mass index, we are doing everything we can to push out diabetes from attacking us at an earlier age. But everything is inevitable. Yes.
My bone density doc tells me to have a higher body mass index. And
So
you are saying, keep it in check.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's so
yes.
confusing.
I will. No, it is not actually. I'll tell you exactly why your bone doc is telling you that. When you fall at the right angle, if you fall at the right angle with the right force, you are going to fracture whether you have low bone density or not. Those people with a higher body mass index have a cushion. They have a pad of fat that is protecting the force that is affecting the bone. And therefore, it prevents a fracture. Okay? But we don't tell our patients with good body mass index to raise their body mass index to prevent a possible fall. We tell them, don't fall. Be careful. Use your common sense. So that's just us.
All right. One question.
All right, sure.
As you mentioned that medication for diabetes like metformin you mentioned.
Yes.
So my brother he's diabetic and he's started one tablet a day, I think 1000 mg, and his blood sugar level is like before breakfast is around 130 or 136 sometimes. So is this metformin is like 1000 mg is good for the organ health, or is it good for the weight loss program if he will be on?
Metformin is a very old drug, so we have a lot of experience with metformin. The good parts of metformin is it does not cause low blood sugar and it is weight neutral. It doesn't make you gain weight like our prior old diabetic medication. So out of the experience we have with prior medication, metformin is the best. But it does not have organ protection like, Farxiga or like Ozempic. Doesn't do that. It doesn't give you organ protection. But it is a good starting medication. And it is cheap. Most places it's free.
And Dr. Mehra, in a few studies, they have shown to have mortality benefit, from metformin. With I don't like to be too technical at it, but there is a receptor in the body called as mTOR. So metformin acts as an mTOR inhibitor to some extent, not a huge extent, but that improves your cellular inflammation conditions as well. So I think it's an excellent starting drug for diabetes. Okay, so that's what I would suggest. But
Yes,
yeah.
it is the cheapest anti-cancer drug. I mean, if you want to put it another way.
Yeah.
It is the cheapest anti-cancer drug.
Maybe I'll just ask a question from my side then.
Okay.
So how important is the stress factor on diabetes? That's one. And then I saw your slide, great plug-in on the 5K walk, right? Like that's very important. You need to have the mobility, the kind of cardiovascular to kind of keep your weight down. How important is strength training? But what I was told is that, or what I assumed was that the muscle needs to expand to take the drug in, especially if you're pre-diabetic or getting into that stage still, right? So that, the insulin resistance kind of wears off.
Yes. So we divide exercise into two kinds. I hope this will answer your question. We talk about aerobic and anaerobic activity. So, Pilates and yoga, some of it is aerobic, but if you do repetitive motion, it becomes aerobic, okay? Aerobic gives you instant benefit. Why? Because it burns the blood sugar, right? It's good for cardiovascular health. It burns your blood sugar as you're exercising. But anaerobic activity lengthens and leans your muscle, decreasing muscle fat, And therefore, for long term, it is good to do things like yoga and Pilates. So we ask you to do a mix of both. The current thought is to do anaerobic activity first because it raises blood sugar, to follow it with aerobic activity so that that high blood sugar is then burnt off at the end of your activity. So if you want to do a mix, attend a 5K walk and we'll make you do yoga before it.
So I know, there might be more questions coming ahead though, right? there's...
At the end, we'll all sit
Yeah, we're
down.
also going to have a Q&A at the end. One other thing I also want to kind of call out here is that if you want to kind of ask your questions in your native mother tongue, feel free to do so. We have many linguists here who could definitely translate, so feel free to do so, and we would encourage you to kind of be free, be vocal, and be transparent as well. Yeah, question.
Okay.
How much important for diabetes people, protein?
That's the excellent question.
Yes.
But I think,
Maybe that's
Yes,
a good
are you-
segue for...
no,
I'm going to wait for
no,
her to.
yes,
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
the next talk is nutrition. So we'll all gather here at the end. So wait for Sarita ji's talk to be
Oh,
over.
you will say.
And then there is maybe, you will touch on it a little bit
Yeah,
as well.
nutrition, right?
So, yeah. So after that, at the end, we'll take all your questions as a group. Okay?
All right. So for now,
Thank
it's a
you.
temporary stop for Priya. And Sarita ji, I'm going to invite you to come and talk about your section, which is diet, which is a very critical part of diabetes. So take it over, Sarita ji.
Namaskar.
My name is Sarita Bajpai, and I may talk a little bit faster because I do want to cover a lot of information. I did my bachelor's, master's, PhD in nutrition at Lady Urban College, New Delhi. Then I came here and started working as a postdoctoral fellow in Kansas City. So, if you have done any research, it goes usually flat. And every few months you get a little peak and then it goes flat again. So I was like, I'm done with this parathyroid hormone research. So I need to work with human beings. So we moved here and did my internship in nutrition and started working as a renal dietitian actually. So I just a 3 gram sodium low cholesterol diet, and the patient looks at you and tells you that I'm not interested. That wasn't for me. So renal was very complex. So I had to say, eat this, but don't eat this. Eat enough protein, but don't eat this. So it was very complex. And patients had a lot of complexity also. So over last 15 years or so, I've been only in ICU. I work at University Hospital. And, diagnosis is just one of the, diabetes is just one of the diagnoses. So it is very controllable. It's not like it's curable. कि आज diabetes है, कल नहीं होगी, ऐसा नहीं होता है. But it's very controllable. So diet becomes a very, very important part. So and I am very available. We pretty much live in the mandir, so you can contact me anytime. So not a problem. It's not. We're not talking about diet in India, in Bharat. We're talking about diet here in America. We have all moved here. So our life is just not just Indian, it's just Indo-Western, I should say. There have been lifestyle changes that we have made, some good, some bad. So, everybody is so busy, life is happening around us. So, food was supposed to be like a sit-down, proper food that you enjoy food. It's not on the go. Somebody walks in, you have something, go. Kids don't have time, you don't have time, this activity, that activity. So food does not take the priority. It should be taking the priority. It's investment in yourself. So you have to enjoy the food, you have to invest in that food. So most of the couples are like working couples. So it's not like, the spouse is waiting with a hot meal at home. So both of them are coming at the same time. Both of them are looking at each other, what's for dinner today? So let's get something quick. The kids have this activity or that activity and we have to rush. So again, planning ahead of time helps. So you have to think what you're going to have. It's not like, whatever is available, you open the fridge, have something, आज खाना नहीं है, चलो कुछ snack ही खा लेते हैं. Those एक समोसे की जगह 2 खा लेते हैं, how does it matter? So fast food, yes. Who will say that we have not had pizza? It's not that you can never have pizza, you can never have noodles, you can never have this, but account that in your diet. You have to know how much and how you are going to include it. It's not just one food that you give up for entire life. If I say stop eating rice from now onwards, you're like, oh, ye kya baat karti hain? Mere ko nahi sunna hai. You know, who's going to listen to me? So it has to be practical, that works for you. So you have to know what you are working through, what your lifestyle is, what your diet is, and then go from there. So processed foods, it's out of convenience again. We have to, sometimes short of time, this, that, there's a party at home, there's this thing running, that thing running, take out a can and finish up cooking and move on, So that is convenience, but in certain ways it will work, certain ways it won't work. So, and we, even in Bharat, not everybody is a vegetarian. We are, for many years here, if I said I'm a vegetarian, they thought chicken and fish is okay. So even in the hospital, even now, when you say you're a vegetarian, it's like, oh, chicken to khati hoge. No, not necessarily. But again, many Indians are non-vegetarians. Chicken, fish, turkey, we do include. It's okay. It's a good quality protein. It's not that. But again, you have to know what you are eating, how much you are eating. How much is the most important part. So we eat kind of Indo-Western food. So you will have maybe, next slide please. You will have, I've seen activity levels so varied in our community. So somebody is running a marathon, somebody is running, a mile every day, and then there are other people who are just, come back from work. It's so stressful. Have a glass of wine and just, use your thumb to exercise, and you're done. So that is very common. I never used to ask how much alcohol people in our community drink, but it's an eye-opener. So the recommendation came out of France that, oh yeah, you should have wine every day. But then look at their portion sizes too. They eat very small amounts of everything and have a small amount of wine. It's not, Indians do not drink wine usually, it's the Scotch. And the amount is also very variable. So again, and also the amount of help we have here is very limited. It's not like Bharat that I have somebody who will come and clean your kitchen, somebody who will cut the vegetables for you, and somebody who will make the dough, atta for you, and you are there just to supervise and you're done with cooking. No, it's on us. So I am the cook, I am the cleaning person, I am everybody, and when the guests come, I just, look very nice, and the kitchen is all bright and shiny, and and when the guests go, and you're again a maid again, So that happens to all of us. So there is minimum help, so plan ahead of time. So again, weekdays and weekends are very different. Weekdays, usually working couples, you're on a regimen, you're on time. This is what we are going to eat, this is breakfast time or no breakfast time. So I remember when my kids were little, there was no time for breakfast. Actually, Shivani's radio program was no time for breakfast. Because, it's a glass of milk, quick. So I had made little laddus, have this laddu and a glass of milk and go. There's no time. Then lunch is usually at work or at school. So, kids in this country, our kids, they are okay taking their packed lunch for certain years. Then there is peer pressure. It's like, oh my God, what are you bringing? Your food smells. So they will stop it. So our kids, under the peer pressure, they may start refusing home-cooked meals, and they want to have pizza. And I have seen that too, that there are families who would ask their 5-year-old, what would you like to have today, beta? The beta 5-year-old doesn't have any idea. It's the mom, it's your responsibility to know what to offer, what not to offer. I, as a working mother, I never had time to ask everybody and then cook. It's like one good meal, everybody sits down and eats. So that is an investment again in your family and in yourself. Again, non-vegetarian food, fine, you can have that, as long as it's baked and it's nicely made and it's not, it's considered tamasic food for Hindus, but it's again your choice. I'm not going to say never have it again. But next slide, please. Okay. So in our diet, we have introduced so many things. Back in home, back in Bharat, we didn't have like, open a dabba of breakfast cereal, have dumped a little bit, have milk, go. That was not the breakfast we had. So homemade breakfast was very, very common. Now things are changing there too. So make sure that you have, there are too many choices here, too many choices. So you have to know, are you just going to make a smoothie first thing in the morning and have that and go out? Or you're going to have idli, sambar and chutney, that will be your breakfast, or it will be a paratha with a roll, that will be your breakfast. But again, you have to make a conscious decision about that. Are you going to have a fruit in the morning? I know for myself that I would not have time to eat proper lunch, and on my way home, I would be starving and I could eat a cardboard, truly speaking. So I started keeping an apple in the car. On my way home, I would have an apple. I would make sure that I have an apple, so I'm not starving when I get home. So it's not that first thing that I see, I'll eat. So you have to know what is your weak point in the day. If you are stressed out, are you going to eat more? Will you be, or you will not eat at all? There are several things that people do. So again, knowing yourself, knowing in what is in your kitchen, what's your body telling you, what is your clinical situation, that's how you decide. So, okay. Next. Yeah, so, our traditional gurus and, there's so much information in our scriptures, so much information as to what we should be eating. What is sattvic food, what is rajasic food, what is tamasic food. So, next slide please. Yeah, go ahead, next one. So, sattvic food is what we should be having every day. It's fresh food. It is balanced food, it's everyday food. It's not very spicy, it's a daily food made with good thoughts in your mind. That this is food I'm going to consume, this is for my body to stay healthy. That is sattvic food. Rajasic food is for sometimes. Rajasic food is rich, nuts and all creamy food and this and that. So that is for sometimes. Tamasic food is to be avoided, which sometimes there's no other choice, you may not avoid it. But tamas means darkness, andhakar. So that food will bring bad thoughts. It will be bad for you physically and mentally. So that is tamasic food. So there are categories for that. So, next please. So when I first started working, we used to go by food pyramid. Said, food pyramid was what you need to have the most, base, and then you narrow it down, and and as you narrow it down, that's how the serving sizes go down, and that's how you will decide what you're going to eat. But we have moved away from that, and now what we talk about is, next slide please, healthy plate. So this is what is being taught now, and healthy plate is actually, look at your plate when you go home today and see how you're dividing your food in there. So vegetables and fruits make half the plate, again. And in the other half, you have whole grains and you have protein. Yes, protein is very important. All of these food groups are very, very important, to say the least. Each food group is meant to give you certain nutrients. So you have to include them. You cannot exclude one food group completely. You have to balance it out. So when I say, let's say the food is like 100%, let's give that a number, 100. So we want certain calories to come from carbohydrate, certain from protein, certain from fats. So most calories come from carbohydrates. So about 45 to 65% of the food calories will come from carbohydrate. Now what kind of carbohydrate, that is another matter that we need to consider. So carbohydrates are simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates will get digested fast, get absorbed fast, and they are the ones who will increase your blood sugar really fast. So you have to be watchful about them. You have to be careful about them. So look at the list. Do you have any of these in your diet? I'm not judging anybody, by the way. It's I have those too, so it's not like. So did you see white rice there? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next slide, please. Complex carbohydrates is what we promote. So complex carbohydrates will get digested, but will not get your blood sugar to go up that fast. So that's what is a good choice that you're making. Yes, brown rice is better. It takes a little bit longer time to cook. But if you are going to have only white rice, try and make it more nutritious. There are ways to make it more nutritious. Yeah. So, yeah. So when I talk about carbohydrates, how much? This, that, whatnot, all jargon. So we talk about number of carbs per meal. Number of carbs, so it's like grams of carbohydrate. When I say one carbohydrate, that is equivalent to 15 grams of carbohydrate. So when I say you can have 4 carbohydrates, 4 servings of carbohydrate, that means 60 grams of carbohydrates. So when you start looking at labels, when you start allowing yourself no carbs in your diet, keep that in mind. So when you read labels, when you look at the total carbohydrate, that's how we will say. When I talk about diet in the hospital, we usually say this many grams of carb per day. So I'll say maybe 135 grams of carb per day. Now 135 grams of carb is not at one meal. It has to be 3 meals. It can be smaller and more frequent meals also, but usually we talk about 3 meals a day. We don't say skip meals. We say usually have balanced, healthy, regular meals. Okay, so the portion size of food becomes very, very important. Next, please. Yeah, this I don't think you can read it too well. Are you able to read it?
No, not at all.
Can we bring it a little closer?
Yeah,
No, this is extremely important. I actually have some handouts. Please take it. So this is about the portion size which we count as one carb. So I have some measuring cups. I'll show you real quick. Cooked rice is a third of a cup. So for us, it's like a joke, you know? A third of a cup, what do you mean? So if I'm saying you can have more carbs, then account for it, you know? But this is the serving size which counts as one carb, 15 grams of carbohydrate. Okay, so this is half a cup of dal, cooked. This is actually looks more reasonable. So if you have to go for second servings, go for dal, go for vegetables, go for salad. No, not necessarily for roti. One roti, we say about 6-inch diameter, is one carb, not thick fat paratha. One roti is one carb, I would say roughly. So if you want to have the balanced diet, would have little bit of rice, it will have some dal. No? So mark my words, we will come back to our basic food that we grew up on. Dal, chawal, roti, sabji, dahi. That was what our main food was back home. We will come back to that. For vegetarians, that is how it will be. For non-vegetarians, you know, instead of having dal, you know, this much is like 3 ounces. You know, so 3 ounces is giving them so much protein. So they don't have to eat that much food. For vegetarians, you have to eat a lot more food to get all the nutrients. But again, portion size is important, calorie level is important. So we'll go over that again. Change, please. So this is visually how I say. I don't know if it is if you can see it or not. So again, I'm sure everybody has measuring cups at home. Try and use this initially, and then you can pretty much look at it and see how much you are eating. No? So This is a serving size for banana. Half a banana is a serving size. Guess what? In America, in making foods bigger and bigger and bigger, maybe you can have it. This may be a third of a banana, but you do get, again, mark how much you're eating. So if you are going to have one banana for breakfast and you're allowed 4 carbs, then you have had 2 carbs. So that's how you will account for it. You have to know how much you're eating. Next, please. This is how you read the nutrition label, and it has to say the carbohydrates that we are looking at, total carbohydrates. Now, if it says fiber, which is a good idea, added sugar is what we want to avoid. Many Western foods, I shouldn't say American, Western foods will have a detailed information. Indian foods are still lacking in many ways as to how much nutritive value we give for our foods. Next, please. Again, these are different label information. Next, please. Next. So, what I want to talk about is, the new slogan is, make every bite count. So, sorry, this came out so small. I thought we'll have a bigger screen. Well, so again, when you plan for your food, plan as to you will have variety in your diet. I did masters in foods and nutrition, and we used to get marks if the plate had different colors. It was not all white, it was not all yellow. It had to be different colors. It had to be green, it had to be white, it had to be brown, all the different colors, because all these are different food groups and they will give you different nutrients. So you have to have a variety. Have settings on vegetables, or you can have fruits also. Include those in your diet. But again, this is the serving size for fruit juice, orange juice. You happy with that? Not quite. But again, it's to train yourself, to know what is good for you, what is not good for you. So physical exercise, when they came out to say that 10,000 steps every day, that was initially not based on any good research, but then they said, no, if you make yourself move, those Fitbits, they say that, oh, come on, get up and move down. Go and get up and drink water, do something. So that helps. Then they said, no, just walking itself regularly is going to help your weight, is going to help with your blood sugars. We actually did that with one of our relatives. She was wearing one of those monitors, and every time it said blood sugar high, it said, oh, we're going for a walk. And believe it or not, 20 minutes of walk will bring it down very nicely. And because it is on the phone, so you can monitor it really, really well. So any kind of physical exercise helps. Vitamins and minerals. There is no magic pill that will give you everything. It will have to come from food. If there was one magic pill, I'll be out of business. But I'll tell you, all the vitamins and minerals, they have to come from food. That's how it was designed. That's how it was made. That's how our body is made. You cannot just have these vitamins individually and then have a multivitamin on top of that just to cover your bases. It doesn't work. The water-soluble vitamins, you need them every day, small amounts. If you take them more than what you need, they'll be probably excreted out, and you will not get the benefit. Only vitamins that I worry about are vitamin D and B12, because vegetarians will invariably have low B12 levels. And vitamin D. I check vitamin D level for almost all my patients, and invariably comes out low. The recommendation is that we should be out in the sun, especially Asians, we should be out in the sun 20 to 30 minutes a day. In Indiana, we don't even get sun every day. So, and professionals, when you enter the building, you're in the building till sunset. So don't even get to see the sun outside. Vitamin D level can be low very easily. And vitamin D, dairy is what we give up. a lot of Indians will say, I don't tolerate milk, I'm not drinking milk. Dahi is a good substitute. You need dahi, you have cheese, you have, even if you are lactose intolerant, there are ways to incorporate that. So don't give up just entire food groups, just for nothing. So when I when the doctors do head-to-toe evaluation, review of systems, they are looking for clinical signs and symptoms for a disease. What I'm looking for is the signs and symptoms for deficiencies for vitamins and minerals. So when I look at from hair to toenails, they are telling me something. Hair, in this day and age, usually it's difficult to say what's the true color of anybody's hair. But again, the quality of hair, the color of hair, how frail they are, if they're shiny or not, that tells me a lot. From hair to eyes to cheeks, the hollowness underneath the eyes, this temporal wasting. I look at clavicles, shoulders, everything and anything. It's telling me what are the signs and symptoms of vitamins and mineral deficiencies. Okay, can we go? So what I'm trying to say is have balanced, healthy meals 3 times a day. So you cannot skip meals and say, I'm not going to eat breakfast, but I'll have a gulab jamun at lunch. That's now how it works. You have to have a balanced diet. It's an investment in yourself, so don't take it lightly. For my own personal things, I have always had problem with my weight. I started actually writing down what I was eating. So there were things that I was eating without even considering. And for diabetes, I'll tell you, it's a silent killer. It's not making you that I won't be able to walk, it's hurting, I can do this. No. It's like, okay, एक गुलाब जामुन खा लेते हैं, क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? देखी जाएगी blood sugar का, और एक दवा ले लेंगे. That's how our mind works. We can justify what we are doing. But again, it's an investment in yourself. Balanced, healthy meals. Account for what you eat. Then you have. So what we have to say is, when I keep saying, calories and carbohydrates and this and that, it's very individual. So when we were created, we have basic organs as the same, but we are still very, very individually different. So my calorie requirement is very different from somebody else. So it is based on age, my activity factor, my, what else is going on clinically. So that's how I will decide on calories. And that's how I will decide how many carbs per day and how many carbs per meal. That's how it is decided. It's not like, I'm not feeling good today, so I'll just give you 2 carbs per meal. It's not based on that. It has to be based on some objective data. So you have to know your BMI. You mentioned BMI. So BMI up to 23, 25 is actually considered okay. But 25 onwards, more than 30, it becomes a problem. That's when your organs are overworking. So you have to keep that in mind. You want to lose weight, there are so